No girls allowed in the tree house. Black market in Space Marine junk. You know, there's people that use microphones, you know, and they put it on a little stick or a scalpel or something. You know, there's a clip on it. Fucking idiots. That's a theme for today's video. Fucking idiots. It's been a lot of pissing and moaning. I'm a fucking idiot. I still got this on. This just stops the plastic making a massive dent in my head. Fucking idiots. A lot of pissing and moaning. I'm going to piss and moan about the people that are pissing and moaning. It's an Ouroboros. A lot of people pissing and moaning about the Horus Heresy new edition, third edition. Games Workshop are terrible at communication. Fucking idiots. They've only been around for 40 years and they still fuck up the same way over and over again. As a human being, you're allowed to fuck up, but you learn from it. This company's like a middle-aged man now, you know. It's a cottage industry that's grown to be a FTSE 100. So, you know, there's shareholder capitalism in the mix as well. So a lot of our frustrations with Games Workshop are just late stage capitalism. Can I defend the post? Sorry, what? Tangent. Games Workshop, terrible at communication, could have just said, look, we're doing this. Don't panic. You can have your old toys. You don't have to satellite to your lizard man army. You can still play the game with the models you lovingly built. We got an FAQ fairly soon afterwards. That always happens. That's just because to print hundreds of thousands of books, you have to send the files away 6 months ago. Get them printed, they get shipped over from Games Workshop, make the toys in Nottingham, but they don't print in Nottingham. That comes probably from China. Remember in second edition, Heresy, the paragraph probably copied and pasted hastily. Work, 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 faster, faster, faster. Make the thing, profit, line go up, planet on fire. That doesn't matter. Make mistakes. It's bound to happen. We all go to work, right? And we've all got a boss who's a dick. I'm freelance. I'm my own boss. What I can't my bosses. Point being, FAQ on day one, understandable. Because in that interim period between sending the files off and receiving them and release date, they've play tested more, discovered some more things. There's an awful lot of rules, there's an awful lot of units, there's 18 bloody legions. Mechanicum, how many weird and wonderful things have they got going on? Your mum, Solar Auxilia, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, there's only so much play testing you can do within a small group. Otherwise, leaks happen. Oh, look, leaks, always happening. The leaks tend to come from disgruntled members of warehouse staff because they don't work for big fluffy toy soldiers company Games Workshop. The guys in the warehousing and manufacturing side of things are just like normal guys working for a factory. So the FAQ and then the legacy units. Now the legacy units are just because you can't fit that much in these books. They're proper chunky books. They weigh more than the army does. Because it's all plastic now. It's not lead, it's not resin. Some of it's resin. So rather than make these super chunky books with every single rule for every single permutation, they want to have a nice simple box with everything in it, and you build that unit on that page, that unit, that box, that page, that box, that page. You getting it yet? That box, that page. Now we're going to say there was the Terminators. They come with power fists in the box, and you can't take it on the list. That was a typo. Guy I know in workshop, it was just a boo-boo. The big boo-boo was that they're just bad at communicating, and they could have told us this in the community articles. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. The Pissboys are still going to piss, though. You know, I'm well surprised we haven't got the no girls allowed in the tree house gang pissing and moaning, because that paragraph at the beginning has been rewritten, and yeah, handbags, venom sphere, venom sphere. Look, they're transhuman. They're child soldiers. that have been chopped about, pumped full of this, pumped full of that, extra organ here, extra organ there. And, you know, like, if the Epstein files have taught us anything, is that the powers that be are corrupt as fuck, and there'll probably be a black market in snipped off Space Marine junk. You think the High Lords of Terror, with all the weirdo corruption, Slanesh whispering in their ear, haven't got, you know, a little collection of Space Marine junk? The Emperor is in the Epstein files, I fucking tell you. The Emperor's a perpetual and has been around since. That's a weird take. So I've been away for a bit, broken my body, my mind, all of those things. Just been doing other stuff. Somewhat frustrated with the general shape of things on YouTube. Like and subscribe, comment below. 5 words, and the algorithm takes you seriously. It's like 5 words of engagement. 5 words of engagement. Shit. There you go. Type that. Thanks, Monk. What's with the do-rag? Look, we all came here. Here's the tips bit. Tips bit. Shall I do the tips bit? So there's going to be a fair few people coming into the hobby that won't have built necessarily like a 10-man, 15, 20-man squad. Heresy has got legions, and as that might suggest, there's a few extra bodies. So when you're building a squad, it is well worth not putting the heads on to last. Because you might get a guy standing like this, and a guy standing like this, and a guy standing like this. And if you point the head in a slightly different direction, what you tend to get is multiples of a sprue with 5 guys, 5 guys, 5 girls. Oh, multiples of those poses. But as you're building them up and you just change up that head, you can get to a really different look. So build up your squad and then try and find the multiples and then pose those, put those heads on slightly differently. Put them on a different base, get a foot up, foot down, so they're looking down, looking up. Makes all the difference. You look right up my hooter there. Little things like that make a world of difference. Yeah, so while I was building these cannons, the crew, they've got a nice little feature, which is, I think, one of the things that Games Workshop seem to have, in the evolution of this engineering, they swayed off in a wild direction with all these, you know, like there was a guy with a head, and like this cylinder went through and then came out and turned into a leg, and then the torso was a front and a back that clamshelled either side of that tube. Some wild shit. What it meant was you had less lines, or the mould lines, these seams that run round the parts, were much better hidden. So you didn't, if you missed them, they wouldn't be obvious when you put it together. Lovely idea, but it made, you know, my life as a kit basher who wants to move things around and swap things up and, you know, do more advanced stuff, because I'm a rare and special snowflake and I need every single one of my space marines to be rare and special snowflake. Literally, everybody's converted. Everybody's got at least a head swap and at least shoulder pads. And but the point being, what these have got is almost kind of the best of both worlds. We've gone back to the front and back torso with a bit of kind of groin and a leg sometimes, and then the other leg goes on just because the volume of plastic works better if you separate these. So what these little guys have got is a little nubbin, which you won't be able to see on that lens. And what that enables you to do is to pop the arm on, and then it will find the nubbin and click in place. And that means that when you've got one arm doing that and one arm doing that, everything lines up because it's all been done on CAD together. Those of us that want to do a conversion or something, and you need those arms to be in a slightly different place, put the arms together and hide any sins with a shoulder pad and a sprue goo underneath to fill that gap, that where the lines, where the arms might not line up. Oh, Dave sending me a message. Hello, Dave. Sorry, got to talk to Dave. there might be some old heads that are coming back in. Some of my mates that got back into heresy, everything was in resin then, hadn't gone over to plastic as it has recently. So loads of those guys are super gluing all their models. And now even with their plastic models, they're using super glue still. Much easier, you get a much better bond and you can smooth the surface with your plastic glue. Look at sprue goo, that is well worth doing. Get a pot of glue, get another same pot, and as it runs down a little bit, put loads of little flecks, chop up bits of sprue in there, leave it overnight, give it a shake, give it a shake, give it a shake, and you get a glue that you can use for gap filling in those little unsightly bits where you might have moved an arm over a little bit and you've got a bit of a gap. There's other videos about that. On the subject of super glue, there are different grades. Your standard carpentry stuff is usually quite thin, and I get that for the bulk of stuff, doing bases and whatnot. It's kind of a little bit on the thin side. In the warmer weather, it will dry out a bit. Try and keep it in a cool corner of the house. You can get the gel super glue, which is really good for those hard to reach places. You can put it on a paper clip, tap it into the place you want it to be. It will stay there because it's a gel. And then you get the super thin stuff, which is like thinner than water. And what that's great for is those, again, hard to reach places where you can just put the tiniest drop on and it will shoot into those places. I can't find them. You can get, and they're well worth picking up, these little plastic tubes that sit on the end. They slot on the end of your super glue tube and then go down to like a tiny point. And even with the thin stuff, you can get much more control. They dry up a bit. Again, paper clip. Get your bits of paper clip for pinning your models. Stick that in the end. It's what I tend to do. It will dry up. You will end up having to cut it. But they tend to be quite long and they get shorter. And that will take you a right good long building session. A weekend on the toys before you need another one. And they're cheap as anything. Different grades of super glue. There you go. Different tools for different jobs. Get yourself a pair of reverse tweezers. These are particularly flash ones. So what you do is you squeeze it and they open and then they clamp. So you can clamp that little bit, put a bit of super glue on it, and then place it 2, 3, let go, come away. And it might stay in place. Who knows? Right. The other things for super glue. I use this, it's a little dropper bottle, Oh, what a shot. So that is just bicarbonate of soda and a bit of water. And that little drop there, the alkaline, I think it's alkaline, nature of that will set up your super glue a bit quicker. All that is a bit of baking soda, which I generally keep coffee stirrer in there. You put your super glue on, sprinkle a bit of that on, and it sets up good and hard. That is what I did with these little cannons. So these split down the middle so that you can drop the cannon in. So I've put the armoured panel on the front to one side. There's a few other little bits of gubbins that you just glue on one side so it's biased. And there's these little sockets on the top there, which you probably can't see, that pick up on the nubbins on the side of the cannon. But onto magnetising, so you can do that and swap out different things. Put the masking tape there, bit of masking tape there, so it's sticky towards the tracks, sticky towards the tracks. Then when you put them together, you've got 2 bits of masking tape sticking towards. You can then put your magnet on either side. They'll clamp either side of the masking tape, then put the tiniest bit of super glue on the magnet. Try not to get it on the masking tape because that'd be a bit of a pig to tidy up. Once that glue's set, a couple of minutes, pull those 2 halves apart, and then you can add a little bit more super glue, bicarbonate. Couple of drops, sprinkle on. Couple of drops, sprinkle on. So then what you've got is a nice little mound of super glue surrounding that magnet, but it's all nice and flush against that side because the masking tape acted as a dam, and then these two parts go together. I've done that with a Land Raider. Here's another video. It's an old one. I wonder how shonky that is. What next? When you're building these big squads of Marines, or if you're coming into Warhammer in general, the numbers on the sprues are really important. Back in the day, it used to be really simple. You'd only get like 20 parts maybe on a sprue that size. But as the engineering has improved, as the technology has improved, and as the knowledge base in plastic manufacturing has improved, they're better able to get crisper detail, hide the seam lines where the two parts of these, top and the bottom of a mould, close together. The plastic is squirted in, and that line there is the line that makes the part have a seam down it. The little bit you've got to scrape off. It's worth just having a little check over your models and having a scrape before you go out and prime them. Priming your models, give it a right good shake, and if it's humid, careful, warm up your paint. Just put it in a pan in the sink, run it in a hot tap. I say the pan just so that you don't have to fill the whole sink. Just put it in a container that will contain the can or two that you're spraying with. I say two because what you can do, prime your model, your army colour. They rattle too much. Prime your model, your army colour. So in this case, I had a reddish colour. So when you're spraying, you're going to be so many inches away. Depends on the nozzle, depends on the pressure, depends on the humidity, depends on a world of things. The key is start further away, because if you start too close, you're going to have to clean the paint off on you, mate. So, err on the side of caution, start further away, paint, paint, paint. It's far easier to add paint than it is to take it off. So, go at it slowly. If you're painting multiple models, magnetise them. Yeah, I picked up the one model I've got that hasn't got a magnet on it. This one. Put a little magnet on the bottom of your models. This is a resin base, so I've had to drill the hole out. But you see that little silver bit? That's a steel ruler. Look, I've just put a bit of masking tape on so I can, as you can see, spray up some other stuff with hexagons in it. So I can go outside, I can spray that, I can easily move them around, clip them on the railing when they're drying, do the next one. Spray from below, spray from above. So if you're painting your miniatures and you're saying doing blood angels, do the red colour that you've bought from whatever manufacturer, and then do a zenithal. The term zenith means the sun is at its zenith, the sun is at its nadir, at its highest, at its lowest. So do your zenithal spray. This is good for a couple of things. It shows up the detail on your model that you've covered somewhat with your flat colour. You've homogenised it. By giving it that little zenith, you'll see more of your detail. You're less likely to miss that little strap, that little pack, that little tiny little over detailed bit of bullshit you wish you hadn't glued on. If it looks good at 2 foot, it's great. That's another thing. When we paint here because that's our focal range, right? Or really close because I'm a blind old man. But when you're doing that, every now and again, go like that. Just hold it a little bit further away. Look at it at 2 foot. My mate, in the years I've known him, I've never played him with a fully painted army because he keeps learning new techniques and he never goes, that's good enough. Oh, another thing that's just out of shot. It's my new penny. It's carpentry for wood carvers and it's got a bib on it. I feel like a marsupial and it's Velcro down the side. So all those bits that you've been working on and you're trimming bits away, you just get up, do that, tip it in the bin. Oh, I just found Benny. Spaceship. Well, what are we saying? It's a whole bunch of stuff there, isn't it? Just wanted to like go, hi, I'm still alive. Though I do pray for death. Not literally, but just a little bit. Not my death. The billionaire class, the oligarchs. Well, touch the dreamies. It's on. It's not teasing. One of the other reasons I've been away, body broken, brain melting. Like I got a bad back, and sometimes it goes down my legs, and like I'm that far off of a walking stick. Wreck. I'm a wreck. 30 years of building work will do you in. One of the other reasons I was saying was just like my increasing frustration with Games Workshop stuff. YouTube, the algorithm, the way it works is if you don't mention Space Marines, Henry Cavill, the Emperor, blah blah blah, um, people don't look at you because Games Workshop is. You know how we all say when you're talking to a normie, I play Warhammer, because if you don't say I play Warhammer, they don't know what you're on about. Yeah, it's the only one they've heard of. Everything's Dungeons and Dragons. You don't say you role play because that sounds like something kinky in the bedroom, which it can be. There's a crossover. Um, anyway, it's not. What was I talking about? Yeah, so because I've been playing more indie games, playing less 40k, apart from when I like smash out a few Space Marines, interesting bits and bobs to continue playing the Bad Ab War, Tale of Four Gamers that Ian does. He's an old mate from back in London, as are the other guys. That's been good fun. Always nice to like pop down to London, say hello to mum, play some toy soldiers, and fuck off back going, Jesus Christ, London's mental. Why did it take me 48 years to get out of there? Yeah, boiled frog. So yeah, I'm doing heresy stuff because the rules look really good. They're quite thematic. There's an alarming number of, honestly, people coming over that have got the 40k win at all costs attitude. Fuck off. It's supposed to be a narrative thing. Two armies rock up to the table and you go, you've got a rock and I've got scissors. Let's change the mission so that I've got a chance. Because you get mismatches. You might get two really well balanced armies and go, oh, right, let's just go at it. But you might get somebody who's got a build that just has no answers to this, the rock, paper, scissors analogy. And there's always been an understanding in heresy that, we're playing a story, the Horus Heresy, the story within 40k, even the big war that has coloured everything else that's happened for 10,000 years since. So I'm a little bit worried. The sky isn't falling, but the word tournament, please don't use that word. That kind of psychologically, it tells people we're going to fight. In heresy, you tend to get two sides, loyalists and traitors. Alpha Legion. The organisers love it because they'll go, oh, can you go on this side? Can you go on that side? I'm like, I am already. 20th Legion, XX, kiss, kiss. I mean, double cross. I think that comes from an old SOE thing in the Second World War. They were in room 20, XX, double cross. Was it Operation Mincemeat? They allude to that, I think. It's a pretty good film, that. Don't know how apocryphal that is, but it's a cracking story. So yeah, I will be doing a little bit more Warhammer. I think I've probably said enough, haven't I? Eat the rich. Ta-da! Oh, did you like and subscribe? I'll put my knife down. Did you like and subscribe? 5 words. Shut up, monk, you waffly old twat. Shut up, monk, you waffly. Anyway, love ya. Bye.